Hello and welcome to another episode of Tales from a Professional Nerd. My name is Bryan Steele, and I will be your nerd today and every other day that you watch one of these silly little shows. Real quick before I get into the week in Bryan, I want to apologize for the redness in my eyes. I swear I am not partaking in any medicinal cannabis or anything this morning. My allergies are just killing me. I ran out to get gas in the car for my wife, and I don't know if I got like just a face full of pollen or something, but literally before I came into the studio to start filming, I had the sneezing fit to end all sneezing fits. I mean, it was like 7 in a row. I thought my heart was gonna stop. So that's why my eyes are all scrubbly. I took an antihistamine to hopefully knock that out. So over the course of this video, maybe my eyes will clear up, and I will apologize ahead of time for any wayward sneezing that might take place. It is the end of August, beginning of September. We're rounding a corner here at Tales from a Professional Nerd because we are going to be doing more unboxings in the future, including one today. But we are going to, in the relatively near future, we're going to start a new kind of video. Basically, one of the fans, readers, customers, players, whatever you want to call them, so, basically an individual out in the universe playing one of the games that I have written, was on social media and was verbally floundering, basically saying, that they just were having an issue with trying to figure out, they're having serious, game master imposter syndrome, and this game's not going to go well. I'm not confident in what I'm doing. And so what I did is I actually extended basically like a little, hey, if I can be of any help, I'd like to. I'd love to, help bolster your confidence in some way. And I didn't want to just send him a bunch of links to old videos, like here's my DM tips, like really sort of to find out if there's anything that really he could quick ask, or was maybe embarrassed to ask in a public forum. Well, the conversation twisted slightly, and we ended up figuring out that it is probably going to be easier to have almost like a Q&A interview with the client, with this customer, with this player. It won't be very long, I'm sure. It'll probably just be, regular episode size. But I think if it goes well, I don't know exactly when we're going to do it. Basically, we got to work our schedules together and such. But my goal is that if this works, that maybe once a month I might extend an invitation to the show to players. And, obviously I love talking to other people in the industry, things like that. But basically, like, reserve maybe one episode a month for a Q&A or an open talk, or a round table, so to speak. I think that might be fun. That might be that might be very interesting to do. So, more on that in the future, I suppose. But now, back to the week in Bryan. Professionally, it has been a great week. I made some headway on a new Shadowrun short story. I wrapped up some very cool Transformers information, kind of Transformers stuff that will see the light of day soon. I got to see some of the finished products that in the Essence 20 line, as far as electronically, and I'm very happy. The handful of pages on the table of contents from Adventures in Angel Grove dropped on the spoiler section of the Discord, and in the preview pages on the Renegade Games website. So that's cool. Got to get some getting some feedback and questions from some of the fans as to what's that all about. Positive feedback so far. One interesting comment, but it is what it is. Angel Grove's a big city. Yeah, aside from all that, doing a little painting, actually getting some D&D figures painted for my friend Peter, but nothing real commission wise, just sort of stuff that I'm doing for a favor for a friend, and then a couple of things for my own D&D game. Had an amazing meeting with my current direct supervisor over at Renegade, Kevin Schluter. I think it's Schluter. I've never heard it pronounced, so I'm going. That's probably it. For all I know, it could be like Skluter, and I'm screwing it up. But Kevin and I had a really good talk about my next big project that I'm going to be wading into in the next few days. I can't talk about it just yet, but it is definitely something that the players have wanted, and it is definitely something that the players will find to be almost as universal as one of the core rule books. Like this is gonna be a real big prop, feather in the cap when it comes to the Power Rangers game base. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it professionally. Personally, so my weight loss track begins anew. I realized that I had put on 2 or 3 pounds from the last time when I decided I was going to be kind of lax on the diet through Gen Con and all that. I realized that I was like, look, I popped on the scale and I was like, oh, well, I'm slipping a little further than I want to. So I'm starting back over again. So back to eating a lot of meat and cheese, doing a lot of the low carb stuff. Thank you, Magic Spoon. Not a sponsor, sadly. On that note, I did find a new diet soda that I didn't know anything about, and I grabbed it as a joke, and I actually really like it. It is called Dream World Zero Sugar Coca-Cola, and I have no idea what it is supposed to taste like. I think it's supposed to be like maybe like a cotton candy or some kind of like citrus, maybe like a lime. I don't know. It's a really weird flavor. They named it Dream World, and it totally has thrown off my brain. So if you know, or if you have an inside scoop as to what Dream World Coke is supposed to taste like, put it in the comments, because I'm super like curious as to what that's supposed to taste like. It tastes good. That's all I know. But yeah, I would love to find out what that is. And then game-wise, been a good... Oh, I'm not done with professionally. So yeah, I had the really good meeting with Kevin about the upcoming product. But then also have a meeting scheduled tomorrow with the Warzone team about a very cool thing that we are going to be doing. Again, I know I hate being so vague, but especially with how the Warzone audience kind of takes some of the information and runs with it in not necessarily the best ways. We have to be very careful as to what we say, what we give out, what we verify publicly. So I can't say what it is, but the meeting tomorrow hopefully will put the creation track down for something super rad for Warzone Eternal. And when that comes to light, there will be players and fans across the globe that will be super happy. So yeah, big thumbs up for that. Let's see. Back to did my personal stuff. Oh, gaming. Had a momentous. Got to play a couple card games and board games with my family. Played a lot of Sea of Thieves. But last night we played our last Curse of Strahd session because we finally beat the bastard. After 2 battles, 7 deaths, we finally 7 player deaths. I guess 6 player deaths and 1 NPC death, but either way, we finally laid him to momentary rest, as that we all know that Ravenloft will never let the Dreadlords rest forever. We got our happy ending. It really was. It was awesome. It was a lot of fun. It was frustrating at times, but it was a lot of fun to play. I had not played that campaign before, so it was really cool to get to go through that. It was neat to go back to Ravenloft after 20 some odd years of having not played it in that long. It was a real good time. I don't know what game we might be replacing it with for our every other Wednesday night game. But there was some talk about there was some talk about that game being made into a physical game a little further away than I can get to. So I don't know if that'll be something that I'll be able to do. Maybe I'll start up a new every other Wednesday night game for myself. I don't know. We'll see. Other gaming news. Natalie's, my wife's D&D game, her first foray into GMing and world building. She has her second session this weekend. Her first session went really well. I'm hoping the second session goes as well. We are introducing my son's character who could not make it to the first game. I am hoping that my stepkid's character maintains and stays with it. They are still kind of dipping their toes in the whole D&D thing. Not sure if they want to stick around. So we'll see how that goes. I hope they have a good time, and that we have a great day. I'm excited. I enjoy the character. I always enjoy playing with new people, but also playing with people who've not played role-playing games before, because it's neat to see them learn and grow as a player. And for me, it's extra cool because I get to see Natalie grow as a dungeon master, as she kind of builds her world and creates these amazing like every once in a while she'll ask me a quick question. She'll be like, so if you're in the underworld, which is like or the Underlands, which is basically her version of the Underdark, if you're in the Underlands, are there trees and stuff? And so we had this big long cool conversation about how there could be like entire fungus forests, and instead of mountains you might have stalactites and stalagmites that have grown together to make like pillar forests. Think of if they're, instead of having the highest peak, the maps for the Underlands would probably have the deepest gorges, almost the opposite. It was just very cool talking to her about this kind of stuff and seeing her be so creative. She's such a creative artist anyway. It's awesome to see her flex like this. So one last thing, that's all the gaming I got going on. I think hopefully we're going to play our Waking Realms game. It'll be tonight for you guys watching this, but tomorrow night for me. I'm hoping that we do. It's been a long time, a lot of missed sessions, so it'll be nice to get back to that. And over the weekend, I'll probably end up playing some more Sea of Thieves or whatnot. I have my son all weekend long this weekend, and one of my old time friends, a beloved a beloved member of my past, is turning 40 this weekend, so we are going to at least swing by and go say hi to her and her family. Yeah, no, it's just this is the life in Bryan. So solid week in Bryan today, rather than, for the last couple there's been not a lot going on. Well, it's because we're saving up for now. Since last week, so 2 weeks, a little over a week ago, I had my birthday. I turned 45. I'm old. I received a birthday present package from our friends over at Alpha Omega, the probably best damn game shop in the greater Boston area. Owned and operated by my buddy Jake, who I love like the brother that I've, the older brother that I didn't have until my dad got remarried, and then didn't have after they moved away. But Jake and his cohort Ben, if you remember, if you watched any of the Arcane Promise live play that I was doing, or actual play that I was doing here on the channel, kind of at the earlier parts of COVID. Sadly, the game kind of petered out because if you're all industry professionals, your schedule is terrible. Jake and Ben were both part of that game. So if you watched that, or if you go back and watch some of those sessions, you will see two of the amazing people over at Alpha Omega who put together a little birthday package for me. And so in that birthday package, there were 2 DVDs of movies, random movies. I don't know exactly, like, Jake and Ben are the kinds of people, definitely Jake will pull out a 10-year-old conversation about this one time, this one thing that you said, and boop, here you go, and make it a thing. So maybe I said something disparaging about these movies, or that I said that, I lost my copy in the divorce, or I have no idea. But one is a movie from the 90s, and then another is one of the Batman movies, one of the Nolan Batman movies. Which is weird. A weird addition to the birthday package. Didn't own either movie, so that's still cool. There was also an out of print Mutant Chronicles source book that was signed by 2 of the very coolest dudes in the world. So that was neat. It was a book that I did not own, and it'll be a fun read. I just haven't gotten around to it. It is not the kind of Mutant Chronicles source material that we will be really digging into very much for Warzone Eternal, but it should still be a fun read. And then the last thing, probably the primary thing for this, for the birthday package, was what we are taking a look at today. Go right into the subject matter. The collector's edition of the Spelljammer Adventures in Space box set. So we are going to, I have taken the wrapper off of this, but if you look, I haven't even taken them out of the slipcase yet. It's been killing me because I got it almost a week ago, but I wanted to have my first opinions be on camera for you guys. I wanted it to be a literal unboxing. A little bit of background for me, and I'm gonna try and stay as neutral as possible. So I've mentioned it once before when I was talking about my gaming history and some of the stuff. When I was in high school, one of my close friends was really big into Spelljammer, and we played a little bit, and I kind of made fun of it. I was like, who's space hamsters? What's weird spider slavery monsters, and so spaceships with D&D. I was I was way more focused on making the min-max fighter of the world, playing a lot of vampire. So the idea of a very hokey, um, adventures in space, but with D&D, just seemed weird. And I obviously, I was way more focused on like Dragonlance, um, and Greyhawk, some of the Ravenloft, definitely. Um, but we did delve into Spelljammer, and I did end up liking it a great deal. I ended up deciding that it wasn't dumb. It was a neat, if run correctly, it could be very, very cool. Fast forward, 15 years, and I became in the last like 5 years or so, 5 to 6 years, I became a very big advocate for, within the industry. Pretty much anybody that would talk to me is that I was like, I've got notes to create and update Spelljammer for 5e. It was not open for the DMs Guild, so I couldn't do anything official, but I tried my damnedest. Anybody who would listen to me about how cool Spelljammer was, I ran a ton of Spelljammer events for the last couple of years at conventions, using my own homebrew rules for Spelljammer stuff. I even ran, I think it was 2018, I ran a Gen Con charity event that was industry players, that was my version of 5e Spelljammer. So I've been a big fan, and I've been saying that that it has so much potential, and that D&D has come so far, and that 5e would do wonders for what was formerly a very deep and obtuse system for magic ship combat and that sort of thing. And then they announced that they were doing Spelljammer, and I won't lie, it was bittersweet, because being a member of the industry and being someone who has been working so hard on their own version with the hopes of making it official, finding out that there are others that got involved, some of which openly admitted that it was just a job. Obviously they loved their job and they loved they loved being part of it, but that it was not their, like, the one thing they've been driving towards for years. And so it's that whole thing of, man, I wish someone would have been able to tell them that they had an option in me. I mean, I'm way too busy now with Renegade and Warzone, but a couple years ago, when I was really pulling at threads and hoping for the best, and GoFundMe's for medical bills and stuff, I really would have loved to jump in on the Spelljammer boat with WotC at that time. But I digress. The product they put out is cool so far. It's very pretty. This is the special edition version. It comes in a really cool, very hard slipcase. Like, I don't even know, but that's not that's a full piece of reinforced, like, cover material. Like, it is. This thing is going to hold up just fine. Has this? What is this? This is a Game Master screen, but we'll take a look at the art. Oh, it's so pretty. It's not exciting. It's not like, the old one where they're fighting against Tiamat or anything like that, but it is super gorgeous. It is a gorgeous scene of spelljamming ships. Looks like maybe some kind of, like, astral, maybe a stellar giant or something like that. It's got some radiant dragons, floating cool stuff in the in whatever planet that is. Very, very cool. And then on the inside, obviously, there's a bunch of cool stuff. What do we have? We've got the basic information of, setting a difficulty number, like what numbers you said, what are the abilities associated to skills. Super good idea. Rules for suffocation, which is important because if you fall off your boat and land in the and start floating around in what used to be known as the phlogiston, so that is one of the big changes. There's two really big fundamental Spelljammer changes that I know from reading the PDF or the preview stuff. Is the phlogiston is no more. So, like, that cool magical mucus that flows between the spheres, It's not there anymore. Now it is just there are individual systems rather than spheres. So there's no more crystal spheres that contains the different game worlds. Now the game worlds are in different systems floating within the Astral Sea. There's actually a pretty cool map that shows the Astral Sea and the various systems that they would have been known as spheres before, but we've got like the Wild Space system, the Doom Space system. Wild Space systems are apparently unnamed. There's multiple Wild Space systems. There's 4 of them. But there's Realm Space, which is where Faerun can be found. That's Forgotten Realms. Doom Space, which I'm assuming that's probably going to be where Ravenloft is found, I'm assuming. There are 2 bodies of dead gods floating in the Astral Sea. Oh, that's what this is. This is the body of a dead god. Looking at the close-up. So this is a dead god floating in the Astral Sea. And there's a couple of astral dominions, but they're not named. See, this is weird. Why make a map? Because first off, the map of the Astral Sea is kind of irrelevant. Because you go in 3 different dimensions it seems kind of strange. But then having unnamed dead gods, unnamed wild space systems, and then these 3 unnamed astral dominions just sort of floating. It's more like it's not so much a map as it is just, here's a picture of what the astral plane could be. I don't know. There's also a cool picture of what air and gravity works like. So you basically have a gravity bubble and an air envelope around your ship, which was the same in the phlogiston before, so that's cool. There is rules for weightlessness, so if you're ever in an area that has no gravity, there's rules for that. And then there's this there's 2 pages of Astral Encounters, which is pretty cool. Talks about a bunch of different things that you could possibly run into if you have have an encounter. And then there's also an attitude, how to roll attitude, so find out like whether or not they're friendly, if they don't care, you happened upon each other, or if it's a straight up like, nope, they're trying to fight you. It's very cool. I like that. Oh, cool. So the attitude roll is a table, and each encounter has a different die next to it that tells you what to roll for the attitude. That's really cool. I like that. That's a neat mechanic. So you can roll your stuff up, roll a random encounter, but then also depending on what that is, there's a really good chance that like for instance, if you roll a Night Spider Malevolence, which is a scary Nayogi ship, like filled with slaves and Umber Hulks and all that kind of stuff. The attitude roll is a D6, and on a 4 or less, it's considered hostile. So you have a real good chance of it being hostile. But something like a Githzerai Zerth found in the Astral Sea, who is currently being hunted by Githyanki, is a D6 plus 6. So even if you roll a 1, he's at least going to be indifferent, but you have a real good chance of him being friendly because he really wants help. That's really cool. I like that. And then if you have a ship encounter, there's a ship-to-ship starting distance to tell you for how far away you see each other. There's rules for crashing, running into stuff. Different tasks for someone to do during an uneventful part of a voyage. That's cool. If you find or make a ship, there's different quirks that it can have that don't look like there's... Yeah, that's funny. There's no real game effect to any of it, but there's just interesting like plot points and fun narrative stuff. Cool cargo that you can find on a ship. Expensive cargo. This is cool. It is definitely a game screen that is designed specifically for use with Spelljammer. Which means that, you know, if you put that with the regular D&D game screen, you're gonna have this completely walled in dungeon master. But it is really pretty cool because you'll have all the spell jamming stuff on one screen. I hope they do. I know that they're doing a Dragonlance set next year. I think it's probably going to end up being for 1D&D, which we won't get into that right now. I'm probably going to have a whole episode dedicated to it when I have a little more chance to read through the PDF and discuss kind of the stuff that they're doing for 1D&D. But yeah, I hope they give it the same kind of treatment. All right, let's pull these 3 books out. So the Spelljammer box set are 3 books. It's the Astral Adventurer's Guide, the Light of Zaraxis, and Boo's Astral Menagerie. All right, let's start with the Astral Adventurer's Guide. I'm assuming that oh man, these are pretty. So it's got a GIF on the cover with a smoking a pipe. On the back, it's got this shiny dual pistols. Oh man, this is gorgeous. I might need to run one of these again. Freaking gorgeous. All right, so we'll run through. I'm gonna run through the table of contents real quick. But I am not going to do a full page by page because I don't want this video to last forever. And I probably could. I probably could go for a very, very long time. All right, so we have the table of contents. We have the intro, Vast Oceans of Adventure, which contains terminology, using the book, Astral Campaigns, and then a sidebar referring the DM screen, which we already did. So that sounds like it's really kind of a, hey, read this if you want to know roughly what Spelljammer's about. Chapter 1 is character options. We got new backgrounds of Astral Drifter and Wild Spacer. New races. We have the Astral Elf, the Auto Gnome, the Gif, the Hadazee, Plasmoid, and Thri-Kreen. All right, so I can give you I'm not going to go through the stats on them just yet. That might be a cool thing for a future. This is just an unboxing. I don't want to have it be a deep dive. Astral Elves are exactly what you think they are. They are elves from Wild Space. They're kind of far withdrawn from regular elfhood. Very cool. I am a fan. Auto Gnomes are like gnomish versions of Warforged. They're like clockwork gnomes. Gif we've talked about them before. They used to be gigantic. They used to be like 10 to 12 feet tall, weighed 500-600 pounds, 700 pounds. Like, they were big critters. They've shrunk a little bit because all player characters in 5e need to be medium. So they've shrunk them down just a little bit. They've taken away a little of their physicality by shrinking their size and whatnot. But they still love black powder weapons. They love making things go boom. They are still one of the coolest things that were ever in Spelljammer. The Hadazee are like four-armed sugar glider people, like flying monkey sugar gliders. I don't know. Imagine of a sugar glider, like a golden tamarin, and a halfling got smushed in a racial blender. There you go. Plasmoids are they are oozes that have figured out how to take humanoid shape. They're weird. They're very weird. And then the Thri-Kreen. The Thri-Kreen actually have been a race in D&D for a very, very long time. They are kind of mantids, almost like ants. They are like humanoid ants. They've got 4 different limbs. Or they've got four arms, 2 legs. They are a very, very interesting species. I don't know how deep they went into them, but when they originally got player character rules was actually in Dark Sun, and one of the things that Thri-Kreen were really big about is that everything was either food or not food. Is this something that I can put in my mouth and turn into energy, or is it not? Including your friends. You could classify them as food that you're not going to eat because you like them, but they're still food. I loved that concept of the Thri-Kreen, that basically everything was defined as to whether or not I can chew it up and turn it into energy. I don't know if that's going to be carrying over. I know a lot of 5e... a lot of 5e stuff is kind of washed with that sort of, we've got kids playing this, we can't have let's not try and foster interplayer conflict, you know, that kind of thing. So I don't know, when we do the deep dive on the on it, or when we discuss things more, or if you get this book and deep dive on it yourself, you'll get to see. Chapter 2, we have the Astral Adventuring, and this is going to be your rules for, it says how spelljamming works, what happens if you catch fire in wild space, how air envelopes work, how gravity planes work, how time functions in wild space, the actual like rules for the astral plane, like how to travel it, how to go between systems, how to get between worlds. There's a subsection for astral fishing. That seems really weird, and I'll be interested to take a look at that. There's a thing in there for what the astral dominions and dead gods might mean. Some new spells and magic items, although that section is really small. It is 1 page. So they did not add very much in the way of spells and magic items in this. The cost of a spelljamming helm. And then there's a section on spelljamming ships, like ship-to-ship combat, how they crash, what the weapons are. A whole section on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. There are 16 different, looks like 2-page layouts for the different ships that they're starting off with in this. It is interesting to note that there are definitely some ships that I know from back in the day that are not in this book, including small jammers and spelljammers, the Spelljammer, which is like the namesake of the whole universe, plus the largest, scariest ship in. It's basically like the Spelljammer version of the Death Star, and then its babies, the small jammers, aren't on here. So I'm thinking that we're probably going to get another box set or another book, or maybe like an adventure or something that's based on the Spelljammer. That'll have that stuff in it. Chapter 3, The Rock of Brawl. It looks... Oh, okay, so this is a sample... Okay, it's a sample Astral Dominion. Cool. So a cool place for you to start your game off. And now I'm just going to kind of flip through real quick. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the flipping, but some very cool art. It's very super colorful. Like, it's very, very, not saturated, but almost like watercolor. It's an interesting style choice. I dig it. I definitely do. It is very cool. Picture of an Astro Elephant, an auto gnome. A couple auto gnomes. Oh, I'm sorry. I said earlier that the Hadizes have 4 arms. That is not true. They don't have 4 arms. They have 4 limbs. They've got 2 arms, 2 legs attached together to their weird sugar glider cape things. But I do know that they can use their feet kind of like hands. So that's where I said 4 arms. They don't have 4 arms. They have 4 limbs that all have manipulatable hands. Yeah. Very cool. Oh wow, a Spelljammer ship fighting a bunch of beholders. That's neat. I like that. More stuff about the astral plane. different different spelljamming helms. Very cool. And then we get into the, oh man, these are gorgeous. So it shows the map of the ship, but then it's got like stats for it and things, and man, yeah, these are gorgeous. And there's full color art for each one. Yeah, this is a cool book. It's very, very pretty. Very, very pretty. That's interesting. Something called a living ship. So rather than it being a specific class of ship, it is a ship that is created made from nature, and it's sort of like powered by a treant. Cool. Yeah, these are cool. Scorpion ship. What are you? Archaic metal warships that never lost their popularity. Okay. With articulated legs for landing and grabbing. It's not very big, but it's cool. It's neat. All right. Yeah, I dig this. I dig it, I dig it, I dig it. This is very cool. And then there's the Rock of Brawl. This is that Astral Fortress I was saying, the sample Astral Fortress. There's a little quote at the bottom that says, "There's only one rule on the Rock of Brawl. Leave your vendetta at the docks." So I'm going to assume that this is going to be kind of almost a planescapey style city where anything can happen, anything can be there, and don't go crazy. Oh, back of this book. Didn't know this was here. What is this? It's perforated. All right, so let me carefully take this out. I don't want to tear the book, but there's a perforated, and I think I see what this is. Oh, this is a throwback to the original box set, but they put it in the book instead. I gotta be real careful. So the very last part of this page, or the very last part of this book, is a perforated tear-out map. I love tear-out maps, or fold-up maps. Oh, this is going to be a big one, too. What is this? Oh, cool. So it is a map of the Rock of Brawl. Very cool. And on the other side, because in Spelljammer, everything has... Oh, I forgot to close my cool curtains from David. 1 second. All right, that should hopefully help some. I can't. My plant is in the way. But so like I mentioned, everything in Spelljammer has a gravity plane and 2 sides and 3 dimensions. So this map has the overside, and then it also has the underside. How very cool! I mean, it means that you aren't going to want to put this map on a wall, but you are definitely going to want to have this handy. That's great. That is great. All right, so next book, we're going to go through these. This is the Light of Zaraxis. So it's got an Astral Elf on the cover. Cool Star Moth elven ship on the back. What is this book? It's got contents, Wild Space Awaits, adventure. Oh, this is an adventure. This is an adventure. This is basically a standalone adventure book. I'm assuming it probably is going to take place in the Rock of Brawl. Okay, so this is... I was talking about how they were going to probably do an adventure based on the Rock of Brawl because of that being there. Here it is. All right, because I don't like doing spoilers for adventures, I'm not going to spoil this for you. I am just going to flip through and go, how cool this is. Very cool art. There's some interesting NPCs. Oh, that's a really cool picture. It's an Astral Elf and a Plasmoid. Man, that's cool. I love her eyes. So, funny story, true story. The Astral Elves are so close in concept, except being made from the Astral Sea and, you know, from Spelljammer rather than the Dreaming. The Kalishtar Elves, or the Kalishtar creatures that are basically Dream Elves. In all of my Spelljammer games that I was running for 5e, because there were no rules for Astral Elves yet, I was using Kalishtar to be those creatures. So now that there's actual Astral Elf rules, I won't have to do that anymore. But that's really cool. I dig that. All right, last book. All right, we have Boo's, and we got Boo on the cover. Boo's Astral Menagerie. We have Boo on the cover, and then we have a scary critter on the back. I'm assuming this is going to be the monster manual. If you're wondering about Boo, so there is a character from the old stories named Minsk, who was a barbarian, a human barbarian, that had a miniature giant space hamster. I'll let that sit in. A miniature giant space hamster named Boo as his animal companion. And they went on adventures together, and they were inseparable, and they really were one of the more iconic D&D characters for a while. And they've shown up in all kinds of things, from video games to novels to the Monsters of Mayhem goofy card game has a Minsk and Boo. To Magic the Gathering's Forgotten Realms set has Minsk and Boo. So because Boo technically is from a race that was found in the original Spelljammer books called a giant space hamster, this is just a miniature version. They're making him into like the mascot, the mascot of the Spelljammer Menagerie book, including him jumping at someone with the age-old adage, "Go for the eyes, Boo." That's what Minsk would shout when he would send Boo to attack someone. All right, so we've got... I'm just going to flip through here. This book, table of contents-wise, it has astral variants of things, so basically like an astral template to put onto things, how to use a stat block, and how to make astral encounters. And then it gets into the critters. And just looking at this lineup, there's a bunch of really cool ones. So we have, here's some more Astral Encounters. We've got the Artooks. They are basically, they're super belligerent plants. We have entry on Astral Elves, just so we can get deeper into what they are. A whole bunch of stat blocks for using them. That's cool. We have an Autognome. We have the Braxit, not Brexit. The Braxit, which is a basically a big, like, almost like shelled dinosaur humanoid thing. A Barog, which are four-armed giants. I remember those. A Chwinga. I don't remember what a Chwinga is. Elemental fish. No. Oh, okay, all right. They are little elemental spirits that can adapt to live in any environment. So they're just sort of like, and they're tiny. They're little dudes. That over there we've got the little Chwingas. They're just gentle little elementals. Neutral in creation. All right. Cosmic Horror is exactly what you think it is. They are big Cthulhuid-looking horrible things that try and eat boats. That's another thing. In this book, there's probably going to be a lot of things that are super, super huge. Not the kind of things that you would fight as player characters on foot. You need, like, shipborne weapons to do... For instance, this Cosmic Horror is challenge rating 18. It's got 280 hit points. It's gargantuan in size. I mean, it's designed to attack ships and ship crews. The Dawar. Oh, the Dawar. Oh, I forgot about them. So I kind of wish that they would have been made into one of the new player character races. Hell, I would have gotten rid of auto gnomes in a second for the Dawar. They are little, like, anthropomorphic, like, halfling or dwarf-sized penguin people. They're awesome. They're telepathic, I do that. Remember, they're psychic penguins. There's an aesthetic, the Eyemonger, which is kind of a beholder-ish sort of thing. A fear. Fears are exactly what you think they are. They feed off of your nightmares. We got Gaj, which is a big scary creature. Some of the art is not great. Like we get amazing, GIF character art, but then the Gaj is kind of sketchy, watercolory, weird. Like you have amazingly crisp and beautiful on some, and then you got kind of this washed out charcoaly style on the other. I don't know. Then we have the GIF, different versions of the GIF, GIF Yankee. They're big pirates / adversaries in the Astral Sea. They're Astral Sea sailors. Hadazee characters. So I'm not gonna say that that's kind of a cop out to add a bunch of here are the player character races as monster encounters, because a lot of the things that you encounter in Spelljammer specifically are other crews from other ships. So having these stats here as augments to the monster manual, so you can have a ship crewed by Hadazee, or you can have a Gith Bombard, or a Gith Bombard, or a Gith Yankee, Astral Spear. That's cool, and I like it. So normally I would say filling your monster book with pages upon pages of player character template effectively is kind of a cheap thing, but this makes so much sense in a Spelljammer monster manual. Jammer leeches, which are like Spelljammer barnacles. Basically, they stick to your ship and eat magic. The space whales, the Kindori. So they're basically super titanically gigantic celestial whales that you can see, flying through the Astral Sea. Very, very cool. Very, very, very cool. Lunar Dragons are exactly what you think they are. They're dragons that live on moons. Different stat blocks for Lunar Dragons. A Megapede, which is basically a super gigantic alien centipede. A Mercane. Okay. This is a definite change. So I've mentioned before that there are in old Spelljammer there were the Arcane, which were these giant, very large blue enigmatic, sort of manipulators and schemers behind the scenes. I'll need to do a little more look to see if this is them, but the Mercane, the picture is very much like an Arcane. And then it says that they are merchants who trade primarily in magic items and advanced technology, including artifacts and spelljamming helms. The Arcane were kind of that way, except they didn't really trade in it. They sort of manipulated other races using that kind of stuff. So I'm wondering if this is their answer to the Arcane, is changing them slightly and making them into, these sort of aloof magic merchants. I'll have to do more research on that. Murder Comet is an elemental comet. It's exactly what you think it is. Nelthagu? I don't know what this is. Multiverse as a brain collector. Gross. Yeah, no, it's a little like spidery thing that's got a bubble filled with brains on his back. Gross. Then we get into the Nayogi. So the Nayogi, they are a race of mostly they're just from Spelljammer. They're little sort of spider, centaur, worm critters, super evil. They're huge into slaving, and they're awesome. They're awesome bad guys. Plasmoids, Surlons. I don't remember this. Surlons are malevolent worm creatures. All right. The Rhaegar, androgynous folk who evolved humanoid shape from a species of cephalopods. So they're weird. Weird! I may have to read more about these guys, but they're crazy weird. Alright. Cool. Scavers, which are different species of astral shark. I knew about these. Solar dragons. Different version of the so lunar dragon is a solar dragon. We've got different versions of that. Space clowns? Weird. Why? Space clowns are the inhabitants of a wild space system known as clown space. So literally you can and the picture has got two different, there's a goblin version and like an elf version. I don't get it. All right, I will have to look into this. They are fiends. Oh, so they're not goblins or elves. They take different shapes. They're fiends. They're like clown demons. Yeah. We got space eels, space guppies. Oh, space guppy was that little that thing that the Chwings was riding. Here we go. We've got giant space hamster and space hamster, which is basically a miniature giant space hamster. Oh boy. A space mollymock, which is a space seagull, basically. Space swine is a winged boar. A saran, which are lizard folk in wild. They're wild space lizard folk. A starlight apparition. See, that's a very simple piece of art, but I like it. We have the Thry-Kreen. And after the Thry-Kreen, if I can get the page to turn. After the Thry-Kreen, we have vampire. Why would we have a pun? We have vampirates. They are walking, talking husks of dead pirates. Vampirate has fangs like a vampire, but does not use them to draw vital fluids. They drain life energy by touching it. So they're life energy vampires, but they're called vampirates. Man, I hate that name. I really, really hate that name. I wish they would have come up with something, even if it was just like a wild space vampire or, something. I hate that something that could be a very cool bad guy has got a kind of a punny name. And then the very last, we have the Zodar. The Zodar are floating armored. They are just a bipedal entity whose body is encased in an obsidian exoskeleton. So they literally are just these sort of floating armor suits that are very, very scary, very, very powerful. No one knows where they came from. Nobody knows how many they are. They're super mysteries. I believed that the Zodar were tools made by the Arcane back in the day. I could be wrong. I don't know. But that is the quick unboxing of that. My birthday present from the good guys at Alpha Omega. I think we're going to probably see more out of me using Spelljammer in the future. I love spelljamming. Even if the 5e version is not my old version, I can adapt. I have the ability. We'll see more out of this. I'll do a deep dive on the races sometime. explain a little bit more about those. But until then, folks, this has been a lot of fun. I am in a good place in just about every way. I'm healthy. I'm happy. I'm gainfully employed. I don't know what else to say. Thank you for being part of that. Thank you for watching the video. Like, share, subscribe. Get other people to join us. I need to get my subscriber count up because I've got a couple of potential really cool sponsors that are waiting for my numbers to get up to hook me. So yeah, please share, tell your friends, be like, hey, come subscribe, because I want to talk to them too. Hell, maybe they'll be one of the people that I end up giving a raffle prize to, or maybe they say the right thing at the right time and they end up being one of the people I do a Q&A with. Either way, regardless to all that, please stay safe, have fun, wear a mask, get vaxxed, definitely get boosted if you're already vaxxed. Be safe, enjoy your friends, enjoy your family, and play some games. We will see you in 1 week. Bye, guys.